P. 25 May 1991. Your name
Robert B. Murphy.
and your date of enlistment
October 27, 1939.
and your serial number.
276720.
Now you joined the Marine Corps here in Thermopolis?
Yes. Yes.
And after you enlisted, you were sent to Denver?
Down to the enlistment office in Denver, where we went through examinations and whatnot, and then we were sent to San Diego.
Okay.
And
For basic training?
boot camp, yeah.
And do you recall any of the people at boot camp?
Not too many, no.
Not too many.
Truman was with me.
Yeah. And when you how long was boot camp?
I think it was 24 days, 24, 26 days, something like that.
Okay.
That time, yeah.
And then from boot camp, you were assigned to the 15th Marines?
That's right.
And how long did you stay with the 15th?
Just a short time till they made it into 1st Defense Battalion.
All right. And then what happened?
Well, we stayed around San Diego, trained there with our guns, and just regular duty.
Until when?
Till February of 41. They sent us to Pearl Harbor. We stayed there till, well, in and out of Pearl Harbor, up at Nanakuli where we had our guns.
Mm-hmm.
But then they sent us to Midway to relieve a part of the 3rd Defense Battalion, which had been there a year.
Yeah.
And we were there about 6 weeks, and then the 6th Defense Battalion came out and relieved the whole works, us included.
All right.
And then we went to Wake somewhere around the middle of September.
Okay. And what unit were you with there on Wake?
E Battery, 1st Defense Battalion.
Okay. And where were you set up on Wake?
Down at on Peacock Point to start with. We wound up next to the lagoon.
Okay.
I can't tell you any names. There ain't any.
Yeah. Now what about, who do you remember of your officers?
Well, my battery commander, like I said, was Lieutenant Wally Lewis.
Okay.
And I remember the other battery commanders. It was Lieutenant McAllister and Lieutenant Barninger, Lieutenant Chesler, or maybe he was a captain. Then there was Captain Godbold.
Mm-hmm.
And then Potter was the executive officer of the unit there. Major Devereux was, Major Potter was executive, and Major Devereux was the commanding officer.
And how did you learn about the war?
They told us they got it on the radio that Pearl Harbor had been bombed.
Okay. Then what happened?
Then we had to go to gun positions, and there we lived. Well, in the gun positions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how long after that did the Japanese attack?
On the 3rd night, well, it was after midnight. I'd say the 4th morning after, early, right after midnight.
And there was an aerial attack? Aircraft?
Oh no! You mean there's a landing for? No.
No.
They bombed us right off the bat.
Okay.
Yeah, right from the day one. They bombed us about 4 hours after they did Pearl Harbor.
All right.
And then every day was bombing raids.
Okay.
And then on the 3rd night was when they sent in that first landing force that we wiped out.
Yeah.
And then from then on till the last day, it was bombing raids every day.
Yeah.
And then we knew the end was close when they sent in the dive bombers after us.
Yeah. And then What was the surrender like? How did the surrender come about?
Well, they just said, throw down your arms, and we got the orders from the commanding officer, and throw down your arms, and it's all over with.
Okay.
So we marched down there to his, well, headquarters, dugout, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the Japs took over. That's when we started.
And you were then marched back to the airfield?
Yeah, that's right. Back to the airfield where we stayed for about 3 days without nothing to eat.
Yeah.
And then they marched us to the civilian barracks. And we were there till
Okay.
the middle of February.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Yeah. No, January. Middle of January.
Okay.
Then was when they loaded us on the ships, or that one ship, the Needham Maru,
Mm-hmm.
took us to Yokohama.
Now, before we go on, what can you tell me about the officers, your officers?
They were all pretty good guys.
Yeah. Okay. And Major Devereaux?
Well, he was a horse's butt to start with. In peacetime, and in wartime, he was an altogether different guy. That's when his true colors came out. He was #1 combat officer.
Good. All right. So then you were aboard ship and you were taken to Yokohama.
They unloaded some of the guys, and on the way, but incidentally, on the way between Wake Island and Yokohama, they had this new head chopper on board the ship, so the commanding officer of that ship wanted to teach them how to chop heads off. So he lined up 6 of the guys out there, and he chopped their heads off. 2 Marines and 4 sailors.
How did he pick them out?
I don't know, I didn't see them. I think they got them out of a different hole than what we were in, or
Yeah.
it could have been the same one, I don't know. But I know one of the Marines was a pretty good friend of mine. And I didn't know till just a few years ago that he was one of them that got his head chopped off.
Now, what do they feed you aboard ship? What
Barley
was it?
soup,
Barley soup.
twice a day.
Yeah. And how packed in were you?
Jam-packed. Just barely room enough to lay down.
Yeah. Any sanitary conditions? Yeah. Okay, so you got to Yokohama.
They unloaded several of them. I don't know how many. I didn't know then. I don't know now. They took them to Zentsuji. And then the rest of us, they took us to Wusung, which is a seaport for Shanghai.
Yeah.
And then we stayed there at Wusung for about 6 months. Moved us to Kangwan prison camp.
Now, what did you do at Wusong?
Just labor. Forced slave labor.
Forced labor.
Yeah, slave labor. Same thing at Kangwan, and slave labor.
Yeah.
Eating rations.
Anything specific, or just ditch digging and things like that?
Yeah, mostly.
And where were you? Okay, from there you went to China.
We were in China.
You were in China, excuse me. Then you went to the prison camp.
We were in a prison camp there at Kangwan. Yeah. Just south of Shanghai.
Okay.
And then they moved us out of there in the spring of '45. Don't ask me the date because I don't remember. From there up to Feng Tai.
No, well, let's back up just a minute. I'm sorry. In the prison camp, what kind of work were you doing? You talked about the rifle range.
Yeah, building them mountains there. They call them Mount Fuji. And digging fire break ditches.
Yeah.
Had a bunch of guys working down there in their compounder. Had mechanics and whatnot.
Yeah.
Garages and carpenter work.
And what were you fed while you were there?
Well, until the Red Cross come in, just mainly rice and
And how were you treated?
lousy.
Yeah. What's that mean?
Brutal.
Okay. Were they beating you and so on? And
Oh yeah, if you didn't bow to them, why they'd clobber you.
all right. And you were there until when? 1945?
Spring of 1945.
Okay. And then what happened?
Then they moved us up into North China to Feng Tai. We stayed there for about a month.
And what were you doing there?
Just same as always, working in warehouses and whatnot,
All right.
the regular slave labor.
Yeah.
And then they hauled us out of there down to that seaport, and then on by rail on up through Manchuria and down through Korea.
To Busan?
Yeah. There about 3 days, and they loaded us on this ferry and took us across the Shimonoseki in Japan. Then we went by rail from there on up to Hokkaido.
Okay. What was the name of the prison camp in Hokkaido?
I was at Feng Tai, I
Okay.
think. No, not in Feng Tai either. Utashi Nai.
Itachi Nai.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And there you were working in the coal mine?
Yeah.
How long per day, each day? How long were you?
12 hours.
12 hours. Yeah. Pick and shovel work?
Yeah.
And how did you learn about the end of the war?
Well, they took us out of the mine early and lined us up out there and told us I had the whole works lined up out there. And this Japanese officer told us that the war was over, that the Americans had bombed them with an atomic bomb, and I thought he said automatic bomb.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's when it ended. We stayed there after that till the middle of September.
After he told you that, then they left?
Yeah, they pulled out.
They left,
Yeah.
and so you people were running the camp by yourselves. What was the senior officer there, or the senior enlisted? Do you recall?
Just Dr. Khan. He was the only officer.
He was the only one. Okay. And so you were feeding yourself with the rations that were there. Did you get anything else?
From air bomb, B-29s come over and drop stuff out of parachute.
Okay.
And then the Navy dive bombers.
All right. And then did some Americans come in to help you out or to get you out of there?
Well, there was a detail Army people come in there, spend about 4 or 5 hours, and then they left. And then after that, they got the word to load aboard that train. We took that train to Sapporo, and then from Sapporo we flew to Tokyo.
All right.
And from Tokyo we went to Yokohama aboard trucks and loaded aboard the ship, the APA-173,
Yeah.
USS Hyde.
And you said they wouldn't put you on the hospital ship.
No, they didn't have time to get the nurses off. That was the word I got. Now, that could be wrong, I don't know.
Yeah, sure. And then you sailed to Guam from there.
Yeah.
And you were in Guam how long?
I was there at least 3 weeks, maybe a month.
In the hospital.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see now. Well, I could be wrong there too. Maybe not much more than 2 weeks.
All right. But you were there
Yeah.
for a short while.
Yeah.
And then from there,
We flew to Kwajalein, we ate supper there, they refueled the plane, then we flew on to Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And went out to IU Hospital, stayed there 24 hours, then we flew on to Oakland.
Oakland. Yeah. And then from there you, how long were you there?
Seemed like about 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Okay. In the hospital?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got your leave?
Yeah.
And it took you 4 days to get
out of San Francisco.
Get out of San Francisco.
Third Fleet had all the transportation tied up, and you couldn't get a ticket out of there.
Okay. Then you came home to Thermopolis.
Yeah.
And you went to work.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
It was more of a favor to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after your leave was up, you went back to
Oakland. Oakland, yeah. I stayed there for a short time, and then.
And where was your discharge? Was it there?
Mare Island.
At Mare Island.
Well, we were at Mare Island for, I don't know, maybe a week.
Yeah.
And then they sent us to Vallejo, I think was where I got discharged.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. Well, what can you tell me now about your equipment when you were on wake? Did you have any problems with it? Did everything work all right?
Well, we lost. Yeah, it worked all right.
Okay.
World War II equipment, or
Yeah.
World War I equipment, I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
30 caliber machine guns, 50 caliber machine guns,
Yeah.
3-inch anti-aircraft,
Yeah.
5-inch coast artillery.
And when the Japanese landed and came ashore, and you were told to surrender, what did you do with your equipment? Did you disable it?
Yeah, all I know is what I did on our gun. I screwed out that firing mechanism out of that breech block and buried it. There's no way they could fire it.
Okay.
Somebody threw a hand grenade down the barrel and tried to blow it up, but it didn't work.
Yeah. Okay. And
I think everybody pretty much disabled whatever they had.
Yeah. And aboard ship, it's pretty tough. Did they ever let you up out of the hold, or did you were kept down there for the whole time?
Well, they did let us get up on the weather deck. It seemed like we did when we were Yokohama. But then it was just up and back down.
Yeah. Okay. And in the prison camps, did they, how did they treat you? More than what you've said. Was it, were there lots of beatings, things of that sort?
Well, not continually, no.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, if didn't jump when they hollered while you'd get clobbered with a pick handle or whatever they used for a club.
Yeah.
I knew that one captain in the North China Marine, they beat that poor cuss till, remember that that white that was down at Oklahoma? He had to crawl back to his barracks on his hands and knees. Of course, he was a big tough guy and he came out of it in good shape.
Yeah. I'm just looking here to see if we've missed anything. How was the medical treatment you received when you came back? Or after the war? Did they treat you pretty well in our hospitals? Pretty unhappy with it, were you?
Well, it wasn't any medical treatment, really. They just held us there in the hospital till she was supposed to get a physical, but I never did really get a physical. They sent me to this dentist, I remember, and he chewed me out for not taking care of my teeth. And I said, hell, I didn't even have a toothbrush for about 3 years. He says, don't tell me they didn't have toothbrushes over in China. So I knew then what he was after, and no, there wasn't.
Geez, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Black armband.
Huh?
What about the black armband?
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't remember what that was. Just to tell us apart from the regular white people.
This was in the hospital? They put
Well, I wasn't bad at all.
Or was this in the Oakland hospital?
Yeah.
They put
It
black.
was mostly the people there were guys that never left the States, you know.
They put our black armbands
Yeah.
around your arm to. Let me see. It's very interesting.
But from what I've heard, Oak Knoll was, there was other hospitals. Norman, I guess, was pretty good.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to that one in Glenwood Springs, but the only officers could go there. So I stayed there. No, I figured that was the closest to home.
Uh-huh.
But we had liberty, and we could go to the movies and eat good. And
Yeah.
of course, I don't think. Well, I really didn't need any medical treatment, to tell you the truth. I suppose if I had got sick, I would have got some.
Were you at the reunion this year in Tennessee? Was it in Tennessee?
This year, this last one was in San Antonio.
There was a POW reunion this year.
Oh,
We
wait.
did not